So, hi everyone, how are you today? So, thanks for joining us today. We are very excited that today we are going to learn about the Australian slangs. So, today we have, first I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Jessica Paulina. I'm working at GBCA as a business developer officer. So, today we have with us Ashley. So I'm not going to talk too much about Ashley. So just please talk about yourself. You have the microphone and all yours. Welcome to join us today.
Hello, g'day. How is everyone? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yeah. I can hear.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, today we're talking about Australian slang. Australians are famous for their slang. 1502, cool. So, firstly, me. Hello. Yep. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a quick introduction to me. I've been teaching EAL, so English as an additional language. I've been teaching English for around 14 years, including nearly 10 years in China. So do we have some Chinese people? Hand up if you're from China.
Yeah.
你好，你们好。Yeah, 我可以说部分普通话。So I spent 2.5 years in Wuhan, lovely, beautiful Wuhan, and then 6 years in Nanjing. I miss Nanjing. So I have a master's in TESOL, which is teaching English as a second or other language. And I've taught students from nearly 30 countries. And it's, I love my job. It's a great, wonderful job. So that picture is me in Longmen Shiku, Longmen Grottos. So So can you see that headline? What is slang?
Yep, we can see.
So the heading says, what is slang? And I thought I would, I'd start with introducing what slang is and what slang isn't, because there's a bit of confusion. Slang can take many forms. It's not just idioms. So let's define slang as everyday speech spoken by certain groups of certain people in cultures. This presentation will show you some of the main groups of slang. So, where did Australian slang come from? This is actually quite important to remember, because Australia is quite young. Do you know when the British came and invaded Australia? It was in 1788, so it's not very long ago. Most of Australian slang came from England, Scotland, and Ireland. So not most, but many of the words and expressions used in Australia come from England, Ireland, and Scotland. So yet not America. Most of what we talk and most of how we talk is from Europe.
That's new.
And also, before we continue, it's important to realize two things. Firstly, slang is always changing. Language is always changing. Number two, slang is subjective, which means that just because I think some slang is popular, it doesn't mean that other people will agree with me. It depends what you've been brought up with, which means it depends what your mum and dad said. However, I'll give in this presentation what I think are currently popular or well-known bits of slang. As you can see on the screen there, it says a personal example is we're on the same page, which means I agree with you. I never use that expression. I've never used it, but many other people do. So I think some slang is popular, but other people won't. So it's very subjective. Okay. Lastly, before we continue, note that the words will be given in a downloadable handout. So you don't need to write all the words I say. So you don't need to be sitting there writing everything fast. So we've made everything easy for you. So what are the types of slang? There are 4 main types of everyday language. Like I've created this from teaching for 14 years. These are the main types of slang. 1, shortened words. 2, shortened phrases. 3, alternate words, which means different words for different things, and idioms. There is a 5th type of slang, which is cultural references, but that's another class. That's a whole other class. So today I'll show you these 4. So firstly, shortened words. You need to remember that people are lazy. If people in every culture we're all lazy. So we shorten words whenever we can, such as, the first 2 examples you've probably seen. For instance, Australian becomes Aussie. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Australian becomes Aussie. Very, very simple, very short. And probably the most famous one is g'day. G'day is a shortened version of good day. Good day was an old English expression. In old English, they would say, "Oh, good day, sir. Good day, madame." It's very formal. But we took good day into Australia and we squashed it. So now it's g'day. G'day, mate. How are you? So similarly, we have taken many other words and squashed them, put them together. So afternoon becomes arvo. Barbecue becomes barbie. Sandwich becomes sanger. Underwear become undies. Salvation Army becomes salvos. St. Vincent's de Paul becomes Vinnies. These are both shops. They're called op shops. Op is short for opportunity shop, which means a second-hand shop. So these 2 are types of second-hand shops that are all over Australia. And they are very popular because you can get anything and it's cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Umbrella becomes brollie. Everyone's favorite animal, mosquito, becomes mozzie. Kangaroo becomes roo or a kanga. A service station. Service stations become servos. Note that the American word is gas station. I'm guessing that many of you watch American movies, yes?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, many people watch American movies to help with their English. You might have noticed that Americans say a gas station, and they say gas instead of petrol. In Australia, we say petrol. Americans have many different words than Australia, and we will find more of them as we continue. In fact, here is another one. Garbage becomes garbo. And again, note that a common American word is dustbin. Americans call them dustbins or trash cans. But in Australia, it's very often just garbage. So it's a garbage, or the garbage man can be called a garbo, the person who collects your garbage. So number 2 is shortened phrases. This is a type of slang because you hear this absolutely everywhere. For example, how you doing? How are you doing becomes how you doing? How you doing? How you doing, mate? An example in Chinese. Okay, this is for the Chinese people. For example, the Chinese for how much is that is 多少钱, but nobody says 多少钱. Everyone says 多少钱, 多少钱. They get three sounds 多少钱 and put them together 多少钱, 多少钱. And so everyone in every culture makes lazy, they squash expressions like that. So I'll give you some more examples that you hear in every cafe, every shop, every restaurant. How's it going? How is it going becomes, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How are you, mate? Becomes, how are you, mate? Sorry, I'm reading the short ones first. Sorry. How are you, mate? Becomes, how are you, mate? How are you doing? Becomes, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? And this one is very strange. I don't know what it means, but it's everywhere. So another way of saying hello is how's it hanging becomes how's it hanging? How's it hanging? How's it hanging, mate? How's it hanging? I don't know where that came from. I don't know what it means, but everyone says it. Things that you hear in shops, just a couple of more examples of squashed words, shortened words. What do you want becomes what are ya? What do you want? What will it be becomes what'll it be? What'll it be? Notice that the T becomes a D. What'll it be? What'll it be, mate? When you go to a shop, many people will say, what'll it be? It means, what do you want? How can I help you? And also, what's the time? Was a time? Was a time? Now, alternate words. This is very, very interesting, I think. Sometimes the same thing can have different names. Sometimes people from different countries have different words for the same thing. For instance, we've seen that service station and gas station. So here's some more examples. A chicken is a chook. Have you heard chook before?
No.
No one. Yeah.
Yes.
Calling a chicken a chook, it comes from Ireland, I believe. I could be wrong about that. Chicken becomes chook. Potato becomes spud. You've been, Jessica, you've been in Australia for a while. Have you heard spud?
No.
Now you have. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes people start to talk like very quick. So I just try to see what they point. So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
I can follow,
Yeah.
but otherwise I can't.
Yeah, but it's like, but like you sometimes you don't understand. It's not because they're talking fast. It's because they're using different words. It's completely different. So when they say chook, they mean chicken. When they say spud, they mean potato. Food. Food has many different names. A very Australian one is tucker. Tucker is very Australian, and grub is very Irish. Irish and English. Have you heard other words for food?
No, but in this case, for example, if the people say taka, what they talk about something specific or just food in general?
No, just food.
No,
Tucker,
no.
there's tucker, grub, and nosh. All of them just mean food, all food. Come down, come down to the pub. I'll buy you some tucker. It means, I'll buy you some food. Bangers and mash. Now this one is completely Irish. So the Irish brought this to Australia. Bangers and mash means sausages and mashed potato. This is useful because when you go to a cafe in Australia, many cafes, on the menu, it doesn't say sausages and mashed potato. It says bangers and mash. If you go to an Irish pub in Australia, it says bangers and mash. So It's just completely different words for the same thing. Money. Money is called dosh. Shortened words, slang, mention. So I'm just reading off a couple of things. Money has many different names, including dosh, shamula, bread. There's also cash, funds, and capital, but those three are very formal. You've heard cash, yeah? It's cash, capital, funds. They are formal. They're not slang. Like I call money dosh all the time. A conversation, a chat, is sometimes called a chinwag. Okay, what does chin? What's your chin? What's that? Like that's your chin, yeah. And wagging, like a dog's tail is wagging. So a chin wag means a conversation. Strange. I think that one comes from England. Drunk, when you've had too much to drink. There are many, 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 many words for this, but some of them are sloshed, wasted, blotto, trashed, pissed, legless. There are many of them. And that's because Australians, well, yeah, we're famous for drinking. And we are famous for drinking because Irish people drink a lot, English people drink a lot, Scottish people drink more than all of them. And that's where Australian people come from. So, yeah, Australians are famous for, drinking. Okay, some more differences between American and Australian words. I'm sure you've heard the word candy.
Yeah, that is the normal one.
So candy is an American word. In Australia, we say lolly or lollies. So singular and plural. So anything sweet is just a lolly. Anything sweet, like everything in that picture, they're all lollies. Americans say cookies. In Australia, we say biscuit. The only exception are places like Starbucks coffee, like Shinbaka Coffee Dien. You know, Starbucks, the American place. They say cookies, but everywhere else in Australia, we say biscuits. And this one, like the opening in the back of a car, Americans say trunk. In Australia, we say boot. Again, this is useful because, again, many people watch American movies to improve your English. In American movies, they will say trunk, but in Australia, it's a boot. And a very, very, very big difference is this. To the left is a thong in America. To the right are thongs in Australia. It's a very, very big difference. On the right here, like the footwear, sometimes they are called flip-flops. But most of the time in Australia, they're thongs. So please don't get those two confused. They are very different. Now, idioms. Idioms are fun. So how many idioms do you know in English? Does anyone know any? I can hear you.
In my case, like not too many, to be honest.
Okay, well, yeah, you're going to learn quite a few now.
Cats, a lot of cats and dogs.
That's good.
Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs.
Yeah.
That means it's raining very, very heavily. Yeah. Okay, that's what I didn't research. Yeah, my guess is that's English. Yeah, because it's strange. So I'll show you some idioms. For every idiom, I will try to tell you what it means, where it came from, and when you might hear it or when you might use it. One is, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That's a very strange one, but everybody knows it and it's quite common. It means don't criticize someone for giving you a gift you don't want. So when somebody gives you a gift that's not good, don't complain. Okay, where did it come from? Okay, in the old days, when somebody gave you a horse as a gift, sometimes people would look in the horse's mouth to look for diseases, to see if the horse was sick. And when people did that, it made them look ungrateful. So when can you use that? Okay, for instance, if you go to your boss and say, hello, boss, can I have more money? Can I get a raise? And your boss says, okay, your salary will go from $10 an hour to $11 an hour. Like, it's not good, but you can't complain. So you can say, I can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Barking up the wrong tree. This is one of my favorites, and I use this in class all the time. It's quite self-explanatory, which means it explains itself. So here, the dog is chasing the cat, but the cat is in a different tree. So the dog is barking up the wrong tree. So you use this when you are looking for the solution to a problem in the wrong place. And I like this a lot. I use this in my classes. To go cold turkey. To go cold turkey means to quit without trying to quit slowly. A very, very common example is when you quit smoking. So you can, so instead of going 10 cigarettes a day, 5 cigarettes a day, 3 cigarettes a day, you just go chop, none, 0. So to go cold turkey means to quit completely. Where does that expression come from? I don't know. I couldn't find it. There are many different ideas. So that's your homework. Find out where that came from. Thank you. Next one, I'm all ears. It means you have my attention. It means I'm listening. You have my complete attention. That's all. Word up or heads up. Can you see me moving here?
Yes.
Yeah. So for example, Jane, where did you hear that? I came in early this morning and James gave me the heads up. It means James told me what is happening. James told me some news. Where did you hear that? I came in early this morning and James worded me up. It means exactly the same thing. This comes from African Americans in the 1980s. Interesting. This is very, very common in Australia now. I'm not sure why, but it is. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase comes from movies. Cut to the chase means, okay, remember, think of a movie. There's some exciting parts in movies and there's some boring parts in movies, yeah? So when there's a boring part of a movie, you can say, oh, come, cut to the chase, get to the exciting part. No boring parts, go straight to the exciting part. So cut to the chase now means get to the point. So similar idioms, get to the point and stop beating around the bush. Yeah, get to the point.
But this phrase, for example, I have one question. This phrase, for example, we can use in a formal conversation, so just like with friends or something like that.
Yeah, like you can use it pretty well anywhere. but yeah, it's like, especially in business meetings, or where, like when you're listening to a politician talk, they're talking and talking and talking, but not saying anything. Yeah, just get to the point. Stop wasting my time. Tell me what I need to know. Yeah. These are two quite similar expressions. When something happens out of the blue, and when something comes out of left field. When something comes out of the blue, it means something has happened suddenly and kind of unexpectedly. When something comes out of left field, it's happened suddenly and unpredictably. Like there's no way you could have guessed that what happened. Came out of left field, comes from America, it comes from baseball. So it means, so coming out of left field means something has happened and you didn't guess it. There's no way you could have guessed. Nailed it. Have you heard of the expression, you hit the nail on the head? When you hit the nail on the head, it means that you have you have expressed something perfectly. You've got to the point. You've said something exactly right. So hit the nail on the head. Now a version of just we make things shorter. So you hit the nail on the head is now nailed it. To hold your cards tight to your chest. This means to keep everything you have a secret. So if you've got some secret plan, it means don't tell anyone. This comes from gambling, obviously. You can tell from the cards. So if you've got some secrets, if you've got a plan, it means don't show anyone, don't tell anyone. A dog's breakfast, or sometimes a pig's breakfast. Well, and as you can see from the picture, it means a mess, a big mess. So if you make a dog's breakfast of something, it means you've created a big mess. For instance, if you're at work and you're working on some kind of project and the project falls apart, people can say, "Oh, mate, you made a dog's breakfast of that." It means you just wrecked it, you destroyed it.
I have another question. There are any difference if you use like dog instead of pig, or it's just exactly the same? Like maybe pig is a little bit more like, like, no? Nothing like that?
Well, again, slang is subjective. And my answer to that is there's no difference. Yeah, they are both messy. Yeah, they're both messy. And like, like some, yeah, to me, they're the same. In one ear and out the other. It just means when somebody is talking, when somebody is telling you something, they say it again and again and again, but and you just forget it. My students in China told me that the Chinese translation is exactly the same as in English, just in one ear and out the other. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. This is probably one of the most well-known idioms in English. And I think it's well known simply because of how old it is. It comes from Don Quixote, a Spanish novel from 1605. So this expression has been in English for like 400 years. So that's a very, very, very old expression. So yeah. I'm guessing that most of you will probably know what this means. It means, yeah, don't put all your solutions in one place. Keep your options open. Another egg-related one is walking on eggshells. Yeah, this one is mainly used when, like, when you are talking to someone, but you are talking to someone, and sometimes they get angry very, very quickly, and you never know when that person will become angry. So you feel like you're walking very carefully every time you talk to them. So you can say, I don't like talking to that person. Every time I talk to that person, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. It feels like it's delicate. Okay, walking on eggshells. Oh, it's a no-brainer. Have you heard this one?
No.
This is, okay, in my opinion, this is very recent. To me, this is very new. I know when something is a no-brainer, it means it's something that you don't need to think about. It's usually about decisions. For instance, are you going to file that report tomorrow? Oh yeah, I'm going to. It's a no-brainer. It means I don't need to think about it. Of course I'm going to. So yeah, no-brainer. I don't know why, and I don't know where it came from, but currently it's popular. It became very popular very quickly. Another example of that is the word super, when super is now being used as an adverb all the time. Like, oh wow, he's super fast. Oh, he's super handsome. Oh, she's super beautiful. Like, super is now a very, very common adverb. And I don't know when that happened. It happened very, very suddenly and very recently. So a no-brainer and super, they just appeared. Just suddenly everyone was using them. So you will see that, you will hear that on the street, and you will see that in advertising too. To play it by ear, do you know the word improvise? Yeah. Improvise means you are doing something without planning it. So play it by ear means to do something without planning. It originally comes from music, when you've got a violin and you need to tune the violin, you need to use your ear to tune it properly. So play it by ear comes from music. An expression that means the same thing is to wing it. I don't know where that comes from. That's a weird one. Yikes, sorry. And to make it up as you go along, that means exactly the same thing. And that is incredibly common, very, very common. To feel under the weather. To feel under the weather just means you are sick. That's all. It comes from the old nautical days, back when, but in the old days, like in the 1600s or 1600s on ships, when the sailors felt sick, then they would go in the boat under the deck to make them, to get out of the weather. So it comes from the old days with ships. So when you feel sick, you feel under the weather, and that's very, very common. One of my friends said that this week. Very common. A red herring. A red herring, it's a noun. It's used as a noun. Where are we? Under the weather. Red herring. The where did this come from? Well, it came from like probably the 1700s in England. What they did back then was they put fish where when they knew the police were chasing them, the police were chasing them with dogs, and dogs they smell, they go around smelling, trying to find you. So people put herrings, they put fish everywhere, so the dogs would go to different places. So now a red herring means a clue, a piece of a puzzle, but it's wrong. It's something completely different. A red herring is something to make you go in a different direction, to make you look somewhere else. It's used in detectives and the police. Once in a blue moon. Why once in a blue moon, if something happens once in a blue moon, it means it happens very, very rarely, very seldom, very uncommon. This comes from astronomy. This was originally from astronomy, because a blue moon is okay. There's a full moon. Okay, that's called a full moon. Yeah. So there are 12 full moons in every year, like one full moon every month. Yes. A blue moon is when there are 13 full moons in 1 year, and that's very rare. And so once in a blue moon comes from astronomy. So it's a real thing. So once in a blue moon is something that happens very rarely. And put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. This means if you believe in something so strongly, then bet on it. Then put. So this expression comes from gambling. So, for instance, if you say, "Oh, I think this soccer team is going to win. I know that soccer team is going to win," then maybe your friend will say, "Oh, really? You really believe that? Okay, bet. I bet you $50 they lose." Put your money where your mouth is. So that's. Yeah, so it's about betting. Now, I believe that's all I have on the idioms. The next one is Q&A, but we have some time left. We've got about, so how much time? About another 5 minutes before Q&A, 5-10 minutes?
Yes, we can do that.
Sounds good. I have some backup idioms.
Oh, great.
There are some more very, very good idioms that I really like. Well, one idiom that I really like is an elephant in the room. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I heard that before. I'm not really clear, like what that means.
Yeah. Okay. So what we do. An elephant in the room. It means that there is a very big problem. There is a very big topic or a very big problem, but nobody is talking about it. For instance, like it's very often happens in family, like when you've got when there's a brother, there's an unpopular brother, but nobody talks about him. Like everyone should talk about him, but they don't. So he is like an elephant in the room. Everyone should discuss that problem, but nobody is talking about it. So he's something huge. He's a huge problem in the same room, but nobody's talking. So it's a strange one, but yeah, that's very, very common. That rings a bell. What does that mean? That's all. If so, if something rings a bell, it means it sounds familiar. Okay, for instance, if I say, oh, who's a famous actor at the moment? No, Will Smith, that actor. I was like, oh, have you heard of Will Smith? Oh, it rings a bell. It means I think I've heard of him, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's very, very common. This is a strange one. I'm going to love you and leave you. It means I'm leaving now. Like sometimes you're talking to someone, you're talking to your friend on the phone, or you're at a party, and if they're going to go, or if they're going to leave the party, sometimes they say, well, I'm going to love you and leave you, and they just go. It's strange. I don't. It's yeah. I don't know why they say that, but they do. It's also, he's had a night on the sauce. What does that mean? He's been drinking. A dime a dozen. What does that mean?
I don't know if someone, like maybe one of our audience has any idea about the slang.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just remember, everyone. Just remember that very, very soon we're going to have a questions and answers section. So remember, type in your questions. Give me your questions. I love questions. Gimme, gimme, gimme. A dime a dozen. Okay. What is a dozen?
The boss and like the amount.
What's a dozen? Come on, someone must know.
Number of 12.
Yes, beautiful, wonderful. A dozen means 12. For instance, a dozen eggs. When you buy eggs, they come in a dozen. So a dime, a dozen is 12. What's a dime?
10 cents in America.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is still in America. Yeah, a type of money like yuan or dollars, pounds. Yeah, but yes, you're right. In America, they still have dimes, don't they? Okay. Look, I've never been to America, and because Trump's there, I don't want to. Not right now. But that's another story. But like in America, they have dollars, they have quarters. What's a dime? They still have dimes?
Dimes is 10 cents for America.
Okay, I trust you. I don't know. I don't know that one. So, okay, a dime a dozen means that's all. So if something is a dime a dozen, it means you can buy a dozen of them for one dime, which means they're common, extremely common. That's all. So out of the blue means not common. A dime a dozen means common. Okay, what else? Like it or lump it. I don't, again, this is a very good example of what I was saying, the subjective nature of slang. Like it or lump it, I think this is well known, but maybe other people have never heard of it. Like it or lump it means deal with it. Bear it. It's usually about a situation, like a situation that you don't like, but, well, you have to accept it. Like it or lump it. You need to accept it. Okay, 47. No, okay, no problem. Actually, just before the Q&A, yeah, Jessica, do you have any expressions that you don't know about? Any questions? Any expressions you don't know? Okay, wonderful, cool. The questions and answers. Give me some questions.
Okay, so let me see. We have one question here. Like it's Tabby. I have heard, what are yours having for tea? Is this a slang too, or quesadillas?
Sorry, blah, 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 blah.
So he's asking, like he's telling, like, what are yours having for tea? Is that a slang? No, right? Or is just a common question?
I don't know. What are you?
What are you having for tea? So Tabby is asking, like, this is like slang as well, or just question? So
So I have written. So what I just wrote is correct.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so let me check. I have another question here. It's like more like, according to your experience, can you explain us like how the Australian slangs has impact on like international students, or maybe foreign people who is just try to, like, be part of a new culture, like
Australian slang. So how does Australian slang impact the foreign students in Australia? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very long answer, but it is unfortunately very difficult. Okay, the main impact is that sometimes, like, okay, the international students, they go to a pub, they go to a cafe, they go to a party, and they just can't understand anything, and that is very difficult. That's the biggest impact, and then they just run away and talk to their native speakers. They're like the Chinese. They just go back to the Chinese people, and the Colombians go back to the Colombians and speak their own language. But the only way to avoid that is to make local friends. I know that is difficult, but yeah, as you know, I spent nearly 10 years in China, and I was very, very, very lucky. I was able to make many local friends. I tried very hard to not speak to other foreigners in China. So the only way to learn a language is to learn the culture with the language. And to do that, you need to make local friends. And there are ways you can do that. It's not impossible. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but yeah, it's difficult, but not impossible. If you want to make local friends, if you want to learn the culture, if you want to learn the slang, you can do it. Yeah, the books and movies are okay, but friends are better, because slang changes. Next.
Yeah, great. The next question was something similar as well, because the next question that I have here is like, what is the best way, like, when foreign people can learn about the Aussie slangs?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, like I said, the absolute number one best thing you can do is to make local friends. Absolutely number one. There are ways to do that. Okay, for instance, some of my students who like if you like sport, like some of my students from Colombia and Chile, they play a lot of football.
Yeah.
So they used a website called meetup.com, I believe. I believe they used that. And in that website, you can find groups groups of people with the same interests. So some of my students found football clubs and they made many local friends with that. There are some Australian movies you could watch, but I can't immediately think of some magical movie that will make your Australian perfect. There's no such thing. Yeah, so yeah, make local friends, join some groups, look online for some meetup groups, join different language groups. There are many multicultural language groups in Melbourne. They're not hard to find. And yeah, just keep on and just continue Googling Australian slang and then just walk around. Like for instance, if you come to Melbourne, walk around and listen. You catch a bus, listen. You're in a cafe, listen. Listen to people. Listen to what they say.
Yeah, that is a really good answer. So look, we have another one. This is for Jingma. He wrote, I appreciate your frustrating. Could you explain it? I appreciate your frustrating.
Well, firstly, that is incorrect. No. I appreciate your frustration. Yeah. I appreciate your frustrating. Oh, that's what they, in Chinese, they call that 中式英语, Chinglish. I appreciate your frustration. That just means I understand that you are frustrated. That's all.
I hope. Great. So we have another one from Jason. He is asking if Australia have its own dialect. That is good.
No, because then we need to decide what is slang, what is dialect, what is accent. They are three different things. So dialect, no, look. Okay, like again, I don't know who asked that. What's their name?
Oh, Jason. So it's one of our.
Okay. I don't know if they're okay. Like in Chinese, there's like Putonghua, Nanjinghua, Wuhanhua. Like they're dialects of certain places. The difference between a dialect and a language, well, there are arguments about that. So do Australians have dialects? The simple answer is no. No, we don't. But if you travel to different parts of Australia, we do have different words for some different things. For instance, go back to the alternate, the different words for different things. So you go to some places, especially some different states in Australia, and they will have some different words for the same thing. Okay, for instance, you go to a pub in Melbourne and a little glass of soft drink or beer. A little glass in Melbourne is called a pot. In another state, it's called a midi. It's the same thing, but different words. So that's not a dialect, it's different words. So the short answer is no, we don't. There's no different dialects. It's all English. Next.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, I think the last question, like I think like most of the people is wondering, like I know that you already talked a little bit, but if you can just share with us like something like maybe platform or movies or books that we can watch. I know that you already talked a little bit, but very briefly. So maybe you can just give us like something like is, you know, because we really want to learn and we really want to understand a little bit more. So I think it's something that is really gonna help us.
Look, okay, I'll answer it very quickly. I have been asked that question for 14 years. All of my students say, what's a good movie to improve my English? Everyone asks me, okay, what should I read to improve my English? Everyone. Okay, okay, I can give one answer with the books. The best book to read are biographies. Get a biography. If you want to learn about Australia, get an Australian biography about someone who interests you. If you like sport, get a sports biography. The reason why biographies are good is because they are written simply. Novels are poetic. Novels break rules. Biographies generally use simple English. They are much easier to read. Novels, they're too hard. They're just too hard. Get biographies. As far as movies go, I can recommend some, but I can recommend a few classics. But what you want is
Dog is like a very popular.
Which one?
Red Dog. It's very popular. When I came here, and yeah, we have another person as well, so telling like.
Oh yeah, but they might be using a language that's like too Australian, like the kind of Australian that Australians never actually use. Like true blue and fair dinkum, throw a shrimp on the barbie. Those are classic Australian expressions, but we don't use them. Well, not really. I guess just watch them all. It depends how much time you have. Look, if you want like 5 amazing movies that will change your English forever, well, they don't exist. But look, if you come to Australia, and the students, when my regular students who keep asking me for movie recommendations, then I usually give them like a movie a week. Here's a movie, go and watch it. So there's no magical movie. You need to watch a lot. I can't think of a recent one.
Yeah, I think like that is all the questions that we have. I don't know, maybe someone of you guys wants to ask straight away. Like...
Yes, sorry, can I ask a question? First, I just want to thank you for your explanation and demonstration. I just want to ask you as an like a native Australian person, do you find it like a weird or funny when you hear people coming from overseas or international students using like Australian slang or using idioms when they talk to you, or is it something that everyone should use?
That is a very, very good question, and it does sound a bit strange sometimes. An example right now is like when you go to the shop, people say it's all good. That's a very common one right now. They say it's all good. Like you go and you pay something with your card, and then they say, oh, it's all good. You can go. Sometimes, yeah, so sometimes it doesn't sound quite right, like they're just copying. It's like, it depends who. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
But okay, one, I guess, useful thing I can answer that question with is the word g'day. Try to practice that word. It is not good day, good day, good day. It's g'day, g'day. When other people come to Australia and they say good day, that sounds strange. You need to be as lazy as possible. G'day, mate, g'day. So that's the only word I can really think of that some people sound strange using. You know, you need to be, when you say g'day, you just got to be lazy as you can.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, but I guess the only other thing I will mention about that is that, remember, like I said, Australia is young. The native Aboriginal Australians, they are Australian. Everyone else, including me, is an immigrant. So when you say native Australian, well, who? So I'm an immigrant. Everyone in Melbourne's an immigrant, okay? And so, yeah, the only Australians are the Aborigines. Everyone else is an immigrant, mate.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, you need to remember that too. So new Australians, who is that? Don't know. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else?
Thank you.
I don't know, like, guys, anyone else, like maybe another questions? We are about to finish. I think everything is covered at the moment. So, yep. I don't know, just let me see if someone is...
Wonderful. Splendid.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much, Ashley. We really learned a lot today. Thank you for your time. And thank you, everyone, to join us today. We're really excited that you can share with us your time. So, yeah. So we'd like to organize something else next time. I'm pretty sure everyone is welcome for the next workshop that GBCA will organize.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, just one last thing. Remember, all the words I have said are downloadable. I believe the school has that somehow. I don't know. That's not my department. But all the words I've said, you can find them, download them. There is also this picture. In this picture, there are many, many idioms. So I'm giving you a little bit of fun homework. There are many idioms in this. Find them. It's great. So yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Yeah, me Wenty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.